Before I get started on welding this stuff up on the Bel Air here, I want to show you a little outside. It's really beautiful out. It's snowing out right now. Let me give you a little view. It's a wet snow and it's sticking to everything. And it's just really beautiful out here. Trees are all white. Hopefully everything shows up nice in the video. The weatherman's stating 1 to 3 inches. Yeah, it's just spectacular. This is Sunday, and I think Wednesday they're predicting maybe 4 or 5 inches of snow. So we're finally getting a little bit of winter weather. My little garage patio is covered in snow. Really beautiful out here right now. Sun's trying to peek through the clouds, but it's just gently snowing, a real nice snow. I hope it shows up in the video of the falling snow. Just really beautiful. All right, let me get started here. And if you look at my past video, you'll see a lot of things about the Bel Air. I'll do little, after owning it 45 years, I'll do little yapping sessions now and then, talking about things, doing things with the Bel Air in the past and showing photos from the past and whatnot. And like that picture that's you probably see in many of my videos in the garage, I think that was taken in 1989. My dad liked photography, so he was always, the car was sitting out there and he had his camera, he took pictures. It's just the way he was. They're all slides, so yeah, I gotta convert them to digital to show you guys, and it's a little bit of a hassle sometimes. Get the other side now. Get that cleaned up now. I'm going to blow it with a little compressed air in there in case there's a little fire going in that panel. I don't think there's anything in there to burn other than the penetrant. But we won't take any chances, will we? There we go. All the holes are welded up. Let me get them ground out now. Did I video it all ground out? I don't know if I did. I can't remember. My brother called and I ended up talking for a while and lost track of where I was videoing. But anyway, yeah, I got the holes all welded up and ground, so now I'm going to take my DA and give this all a good sand out. Okay, you get the picture of what I'm doing here. I'm not going to video it all, but you see I'm just going to sand everything out here, and then what I can't get with this machine I'll do by hand. That's about all I could get off with the machine there with the DA. And so now I'm just going around hand sanding with 80 grit, kind of where the DA wouldn't get. And this is the time consuming stuff. And the only way this is going to look good is to take it right down to the metal. And this paint where it's never been, sorry I'm shaking the camera because I'm sanding, but where it's never been painted before, it comes off pretty easy. So I'm just gonna give it a good sanding out here by hand. It'll probably take me a couple hours to sand all this out, and then hopefully it'll be ready to prime and paint. The holes ground out nicely. You can see a little bit around that one weld there, and we'll grind that a little bit more, but I'm not too concerned about it. I can put a little, if I have to, body putty. There's a little dent right there, and I might probably a tool or something was sitting there and the hood was closed on it, but we'll fix that too. Slowly getting it sanded out. I got to get the spot welds. I'll get them with the Dremel with a little wire wheel. Cleaning out the spot welds so that they don't have any rust in them, or dirt or paint. You can see before, after, and then I'll hit them with a little sandpaper too. I got it 90%. I just got to take my Dremel now and just go get some of the paint out of this thing here and a couple of rivets there, but it's 90% there. But what I think I'm going to do next is I close the hood down, and you can see that gap. It's a little bigger than what it originally was when the latch was on, but I can easily close that up. And all it does when I do that is pull this back. So I think I took all the paper off so I could work on it. I'm gonna have to take this cardboard out, and I put that hood latch assembly, and I'm gonna have to bend it and adjust it, that plate, that this thing here, I may have to like bend it. It looks like it's been smashed that way. So I think if I can pull it back, it'll pull back on this and do the same here. And it doesn't need to go back very far. I mean, I'm moving this a lot, but that's only going back, you know, maybe a 32nd or a 16th of an inch. So I think I can easily get that seam adjusted right. So I'm going to do that before I go any further. And I took the paper off so I could do this, and also because I want to mask it differently, and I want to sand these edges out really nice, because you'll see how I mask it, because I want to respray all the edges and everything. This edge had some chips in it, you know, from probably leaning over the hood and stuff, and so I thought it'd be nice to kind of get that edge too. So when I mask it, I'll show you how I do it so I don't get a sharp edge. But yeah, I'm gonna get that hood fit up. We'll do that tomorrow, and should be ready to, close to ready to prime and paint. There's a little dent right here. I'm gonna fix that. I thought, well, I'd try and pull it out, but I'm just gonna put a little filler on it. It's not, you know, it's just not worth horsing with if I'm gonna try and bump. I can't get in there, and there's really, I don't think welding one of those things out and pulling that. I might try it, I don't know. And then I might just, you can see some of the grind marks. So sandable primer will probably fill that, but I might put a smidge of filler on. That one needs a little bit more grinding. It's a little high, so I'll take a little of that off. I want this to look good behind the grill screen molding. This is, you know, supposed to be body color, so if the car was red, it would have been red or whatever, but it's got to be shiny. Before I get to where I'm going to prime this. This is all set for prime. I got it all completely sanded out. I showed you last night. This is the next day. But I want to paint the radiator and then fit that hood latch, and I think it's going to have to just pull back here and here just a little bit, because that takes this whole assembly like so, and I think that'll make the hood gap here less. So I want to get that set and the radiator painted, and I'm going to do that right now. I already cleaned the radiator out the best I could sitting here without hosing it out and waiting for it to dry. I blew it out with compressed air really good from the back side through, so I'm gonna just make sure there's no other bugs or anything on it, and then I'm gonna get that in the paint shaker and we'll get that painted up. I'm gonna put my painting fan in the window there to draw out the fumes. I'm just gonna spray bomb this, so I'm not gonna cover everything up, but I am gonna probably back the truck out maybe. And let me get the fan, see if the fan goes first. It takes forever to start, and if it does, we'll get it in the window so I can start painting. This will help if I straighten the prongs out so they fit in the outlet. Yeah, it takes a while to start. It's just running like on a low speed. Anyway, I'll let it get up to speed and then I'll put it in the window. I gave my rattle can in the paint shaker 6 minutes because this has been sitting in there in a while, and these don't spray with diddly unless you really shake them good. These have to be shook good. But in that 6 minutes, my fan came up to full speed, so let's get that in the window and start painting. There's how I vent when I paint, just a good old box fan. There we go. I put a thin coat. I didn't put it on real heavy, just enough to make the radiator look pretty, and I hardly used any of this in the can. I basically put one coat on, and I didn't really get any overspray in the garage. I could have probably painted that without masking anything off, but I wanted to clean it and paint the front of it, and that is done. Save that down from the garage for when I paint this. I think they're predicting 4 or 5 inches of snow in a couple of days, so I'm going to have to paint this in the garage. I wasn't going to back the car out and spray it, but that's not going to happen. Plus, starting the engine to back it out with, you know, and then mask it outdoors in the cold, then this gets cold. So what I would do if I painted it outdoors in the winter is I'd have it all masked, back the car out, spray it, and then pull the car back in, let it stack up, back it back out, and that's just a pain. So I'm just going to spray it in here, and I'll just have to cover everything up. I got a whole box of sheets from estate sales up in the garage, so I'll get them down so I'll back the truck out and just cover everything up in the garage. I'll do this with the door jam gun, but that's enough to cause overspray in the garage to mess things up, so I will have to cover it. And plus, acrylic enamel, it takes a while to set up, unlike lacquer. Primers are dry almost as fast as they come out of the can. I'll probably put that in the window to prime, but I won't have to cover everything up. When I go to paint, I will. Now I am fitting this thing for the hood latch, and I'm going to do, I have a piece of old railroad track here that I'm going to use to hammer on. I don't know if you can see those bolt holes are kind of pulled down, and I'm going to hammer them back out the way they're supposed to be. And I did a little tweaking on this, and I got it to where I can pull the bolts back a little bit, and there, and hopefully line the hood up. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and the latch cleaned up and put it back together and put it on the car and get everything adjusted before I prime and paint anything. So that's I'm gonna hammer these out and we'll get it fit. And I definitely think hammering this out alone is gonna make the difference. It just fits the car so much better. Just if I line up the holes back there and the hole in that center brace, that's about where they are now. and I think that's more than enough. I think I'm gonna actually right there. So I think I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna bead blast it and clean the latch and put it together and see how the hood latches. All nicely cleaned up. I'm going to paint this satiny black. I'm not going to paint this gloss, and then eventually if I ever rebuild the engine I'll paint the inner fenders satin black. The firewall was gloss black because that was painted body color on these cars, and this was painted body color, so that'll be gloss black too. But I'm going to clean the latch up now, and then we'll get this thing together and adjust the hood. Yeah, this is going to be hard to clean it one-handed, so I'm going to do it. I'm not going to video cleaning it up. I cleaned up the hood latch, and after looking at it, I don't think it was originally painted. So I think I'm going to give it a quick, it looks like it was coated, plated, maybe galvanized or something. It's hard to tell, but the paint is just loose, flaky on there. And I think I'm going to just throw this in the bead blast cabinet and clean it up, and we'll paint it silver or something like that maybe. It's got to look better than this. This doesn't look good after I paint everything up on there. This thing's going to look like really bad if I don't do something with it. So into the bead blast cabinet with it. Well, this cleans up ultra easy. I'll just hold it back a ways and do it, and I won't take the finish off. Easier to paint up. Yeah, this thing's, wow, does that clean up quick and easy. I was just bead blasting the bolts that hold the hood latch assembly on, and two of them of the 5 that held that plate to the car body were not the correct ones. So I always save fasteners when I strip cars. You never know when you'll need that oddball fastener that, you know, to make it right. So I save everything when I take things apart, and then I got, you know, plenty of body bolts and stuff I can go through until I find the correct ones. Now, I'm assuming these are correct. I'm going to bead blast these other 2 I have in my hand, but the reason why I think that the 2 of them were not correct was because this was bent. I think that when this car was in that accident all those years ago, they kind of haphazardly straightened that. I don't know how it was bent or anything, but you can see the core support slightly just in here would have been hammered out. You can see more right in there. And the bolt for the turn signal assembly is missing. There's a bolt, and there's one holds a signal bezel, you know, the signal housing in, so I have to put a bolt in there. And I'm not going to fix any of this. This is just going to stay that way. It looked fine before, and it'll look fine again. I am going to try and pull this dent. I'm not going to fix any of these marks from stamping because, or spot welds, because that's just the way they were, and that's just the way it's going to be. But anyway, let me bead blast those other 2 bolts for this. We'll get that assembly on, and hopefully get the hood lined up on the car. I got the gap pretty darn good. It's to where it's acceptable. I'm going to put the latch in now. It's just the plate, and I can always, it's a little pulled forward here, but I have room to where, well, I don't know, it's all right the way it is. It looks good. That looks fine. It's so minor, the amount that the hood is ahead of the And I think it was like that before, it just didn't show because there was a gap about like that in there. So I've closed the gap up significantly. All right, I'm going to put the latch in and make sure that it holds the hood there. I was just playing with the latch to see where it likes to be caught, and it's like right there. So it's not quite up all the way. You see there's a gap there, and I don't know how much of a gap I'll have between there and there, but I'm going to put these spacers back on, seeing they were there when I took it apart, and see what happens. And if it latches tight, I'll call it good. I kept these in order where they go, like so. So the latch will be, you know, in there the way it originally was. That's a little bit of a pain to put together because you got to hold the latch down in, then put the plate in, and then bolt the latch to the plate, then bolt the plate to the car. And I didn't know this, but I've straightened up these holes. This is in an elongated hood latches. But anyway, it was right. You can see where somebody screwed it in other places in the past, but it was right there originally. So I'm going to put it where it originally was and tighten it down and see how it latches, and I can adjust that as needed if I need to. That's not a big deal to, you know, hopefully it latches down here nicely, but I'll get everything adjusted up and make sure it's right, and then I'll take this stuff back apart so I can paint it, and this too. I'll paint this and this separately. This is going to be satin black, that's going to be silver, this is going to be gloss black. I got the hood latched, and it's latched nice and snug, and the gap is acceptable there. And I was just you can see the paint still on this molding in places where the masking was, and I actually spent some time in holding it back in place, and the moldings line up pretty darn good enough to where I can tweak them a little bit once they're on the car and get them to, you know, I mean, you can move them a little bit, and we'll get them fitting nice. Let's see here, the other molding here. And I had to get down on my hands and knees to do this. You can see the paint there. And while you can't see that, there is a little bit of paint, but it's hard to see to where it was masked. And just kind of haphazardly holding it in place about where it goes. That meets up pretty good. I'm happy with that. I don't think that'll look bad. And that gap is closed up. And basically, all it took to get the hood back in here, all it took to get that gap closed up was straighten this thing out. This thing was, these bolt holes were smashed down in, these were, ears were bent down. You could see this thing was kind of twisted, and that back bracket was bent like that. It didn't come, you could see it was obviously bent. And now that fits pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the fit. So this is really, I think, at a point I got to put a bolt in here for the parking light thing, why that's apart, and I might hit that area there with a little brush with some Rust-Oleum. And if you promise not to tell anybody, I'll tell you a little secret here on this car. So back in 1978 when I purchased it, this core support was all surface rust, and it looked bad looking through the grill. So I painted it with Rust-Oleum with a brush. And that's the last time I've painted that core support, was back in 78 with Rust-Oleum and a brush, and it looks pretty darn good still. So it just goes to show how things hold up over time. And I'm not gonna, it's got bug splatters on it and it's dirty, it needs pressure washing. I'll go over the car with a pressure washer in the spring, clean the undercarriage and the engine and clean everything up a little bit in the spring. But I think I'm happy with this. This is, you know, you can see I had to move the the latch that way. This was hitting the striker on the hood right here when it was putting the original bolt holes. So I just kind of putzed with it until I got it to where I like the way it fit. Now that's going, you know, it's a dry latch, there's no lube on it, but I'm happy with that. The hood is nice and secure. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and we'll call that good. So we're at the point where it's ready to paint. I'll end the video here so you guys can see what I'm doing on the car, and I'll do another video with priming and painting and reassembling it, much like I did with the rear valance panels. So if you like the video, definitely hit that like button. It certainly helps. If you like my channel, that 348 engine icon that powers this car will subscribe you, and thank you for watching my videos.